Everything's looking good, especially the background. Yeah, y'all. Woo! Woohoo! I am live, but not begun. So, Milky Way Wednesday will begin here in what, 8 minutes, 9 minutes exactly. And so we'll be back. I'm just going to hang out here in the pre-show hangout. That way you can see the beginning of the new view, the new digs behind me. And we'll be going live here at 7 p.m. Bum 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 bum. All right. I should just make the whole thing, right? Yeah, let's do that. Just been busy setting up the studio behind me the last couple of days. I got back on Sunday from the workshop, and then Monday kind of relaxed, but then Tuesday and today been hard at setting up everything behind me, painting and moving and setting up assets. And so I am not able to go into the lesson that we were going to go to, the one where I had all of the different types of Oh, the different type of processes where you go and do a stacked Milky Way, a Star Trek Milky Way, a dual exposure panorama. We had a couple other methods that we were going to go over tonight, but I'm going to push it off until next Wednesday so that I can give that its full shrift, as well as come into next Wednesday, Milky Way Wednesday, after having had a Tuesday night Milky Way roundtable where I have Royce Bear and Milky Way Mike and myself showing up. I've had a couple cancellations. I can't fit it, like Eric and Jess. They couldn't make it, and so I'm going to add some more people on the argument and the debate of, hey, this is a Milky Way that was captured from my car while I captured my foreground down there, and now I'm kind of dropping in the Milky Way sky that I got from my car. How do we name this method? Let's talk about this method. And I got Milky Way Mike on the argument side of doing drop-ins, and Royce Bear on my side of not doing drop-ins. I'm going to bring in some other people who are also on the side of drop-in, and one more maybe for Royce Bear and I, but we might not. I'll have to see who can join in, but that's next Tuesday on the 6th of September. Oh, I named that the wrong number. So how many more minutes? Yeah, 6 more minutes, and we'll be going live. So I see that Ron S. is here, Chris is here, Justin Miller. Hey, how have you been doing? Having fun with my image? I haven't even touched it yet. Composite, Justin says. No, drop in. Something a little bit more light than composite. Composite has such a negative connotation. Okay, so I've done all of that at Oregon. Bum. What am I forgetting? Interesting. Trestle, Silo, Numbers, Garden, Sunset Arch, Dance Hall Rock, Fairyland Point, Goblin Valley, Goosenecks, so much more. Then I repeated that, and I go. Then I went to Faroe Islands. I'm not going to include the Faroe Islands in this. I'm thinking out loud and kind of to myself. A local blend composite. Yeah, we had one recommendation from Henry about doing an adaptation. So that is considering. Hey, Kathy's here. Awesome. Hey, Kathy, I wanted to confirm something. You mentioned something in a text right before I left the Faroes about wanting a plastic one, maybe, of these. Was this okay? Because this is what I got. This is the one that I had that you made it sound like, hey, go get one that you had. And so I got you this. But then I got worried as I left on the plane and I saw another message about a plastic one. So hopefully that wasn't the case and that you're happy with this. So let me know. Cool. So those numbers are fighting. It says 16 concurrent viewers and then 9 down there. So I'm not sure who the actual number is. Both. You wanted both. I failed you on both, but I got you this one. Still hanging out on the Milky Way Wednesday table. Thomas is here, and Justin's already talked. I like drop in as well. Yeah. Blake Fair's here. Hey, Blake. Boom, 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 boom. All right, let me get this last thought in my head straight. So, oh man, maybe that one website is still broken. Because if you go to photogadventures.com/workshops, I think that. I'm basically going over all the previous workshops and making sure I include all the locations. Escalante, Southern Utah, Crater Lake in Oregon, Faroe Islands. Yeah, those were the locations. I had 3 dates available for Southern Utah, 3 dates for Escalante. Really? I never went in June, July, did I? Maybe I did in 2019. That's right, I did. And then Oregon Coast, Crater Lake, right? Okay, cool. What location am I forgetting? I don't think I have any other new ones other than the ones in my head right now. Okay, cool. All right, awesome. Let me get rid of this and that. That way I don't show up anything. I need a soft one for myself, Kathy says, and then a rubber one I got is now my Jeep Duck. Ah, gotcha. Paul's in the house. Hey, Paul Hennessy. Welcome in, Paul. Glad you're here live, too. We have what? How many more days? I need to update the website to show the countdown for our workshop. Argus Array is here. Argus, hello from Santa Cruz. Argus, I swear I've learned your actual name, and I'm not remembering it right now. So I need to put it in there like I have with Dave and Andy. Let's go ahead and type in this location. Alabama Hills, California. So we're going to go live about 3 minutes. 3 minutes we're going to go live. And I'm going to go forward with the lesson at first. Then I'm going to cut into a quick studio show off. And then I have a question for all of you. As I'm looking at workshops and trying to fill up for 2023, I'm going to be talking a little bit about a location that I'm considering adding, and I want to get some more votes towards it. Votes meaning that you would actually join me and you'd be stoked to join me. This is... Oh, that is Lone Pine. No, that's not. That's weird. That's just a neighborhood nearby. Oh, excuse me. All right, here we go. Let's go up here to Mobius Arch parking lot. There we be. This is going to be interesting tonight. I had 16, so much 17. 17. Mobius Arch, Alabama Hills. Holes. Ooh, it's not 17, it's 14. And and change that holes to hills. I only got seconds left before going live. 2 minutes. I got 2 minutes. Okay, cool. SS Mold, welcome in. Hello, Aaron. Mark Moore. That's right, Mark is SS Mold. Hey, Mark. And Rhonda's here. Hey, Rhonda, I owe you a response about that one location we were talking about, and I have not gotten back to it. I had my kids. I went on that workshop. I came back. I did this. I have not looked at it since, so I apologize. And Bob's here. Cool. Finally, clear skies at night in the east. Well, that's good to hear, man. That's something that for some reason hasn't been that common this year. I had a little bit more weathered out Southern Utah workshops than I've had as of late, and that was really disappointing. Ancient, yeah, that one. So I got 2 minutes. I might be doing a few of these. Oh, wait, what? Are you really going to go all the way that far? I guess it is that far. You're right. Okay, cool. Yep. Right here, add that. 16 now. I think I said it was 14, it was 15, so 16, yeah. 16 now, and bristlecone pine. Oh, I was wrong. It was 15. How much time do I have left? 45 seconds. Okay. All right, awesome. Sweet. We are going to go live here in 2 minutes. I'm going to make you watch a short video that you've seen 17 times. Enjoy. I'll be back. This
So we have GoPro number 1 is a Hero 4 session. It's in there mounted with the tape flat mount and a little adapter to give it a little extra edge, a little neck, so it can kind of go up and aim when we want it to aim down a little bit when it's up there. So we've got that one going, and then next goes in the Hero 4 Black with an extra battery pack. This is going to be our main camera.
You can come in. Yeah. All right, Brandon's gonna give the countdown.
5, 4, 3, 2,
1.
Let go! Oh boy.
All right, let's get going. Let's get rolling in this. It's Milky Way Wednesday. Hey, everybody. Welcome in to Milky Way Wednesday. I was gone for a week and I have returned, and now I have a different background. And, you know, maybe my name is a little bit in the wrong spot now. I might have to move that up or something. But check it out. New background. I'm not going to go into discussing the new studio space right now because I know, like some of you, I'm just talking to Doug. I was hanging out with Doug last week, and Paulo's here. Ciao, ¿Cómo está, Paulo? Awesome. He's here. I'm glad he's here. I'm glad he's doing well. Mary Beth is even here. Fantastic. And then Gary and Hugo and Corin and Alan and Maris and Maris. I'm start doing the Laurentiu on you now. I think I mentioned everyone else who's already been here before I went to this moment. So Andy's here. Hey, welcome in. So, all right, new location. I'm going to talk about it at the end. Man, I think I need to go without the glasses, but there's some reasons behind the glasses, and I'll explain it to you at the end of the live stream. I'm going to try and keep this one quick paced. I'm going to do the entire lesson in a half an hour. I'll leave some time talking about the new digs and some workshop stuff, and then I got to take off. But thanks for being in here for Milky Way Wednesday. We're going to get started, and we're going to go through basically my goal here today is to take you through multiple Milky Way locations that I've done workshops at. In fact, I was just going down the list through my head right before this Milky Way Wednesday started and thinking, okay, is there somewhere I'm forgetting? I went looking back at a website page on photogadventures.com where I have an old workshop list out, and it showed that I had 4 locations: Faroe Islands, Oregon, Southern Utah, and Escalante in also Southern Utah. And so I had multiple dates for those. So while I filled up the year with multiple dates, I only had so many locations. So as I was going through this list and I only got up to 18 Milky Way locations, I was thinking, what am I forgetting? I know I'm forgetting a location most likely still, but I've named almost all of them, and I got an opportunity now to add some more with North Carolina in October, as well as the future. What does the future hold? So we're going to go into that stuff at the very, very, very end. So you want to hang out and watch some information about the studio and workshops, hang out with me here all the way beyond. But for now, let's start talking about the lessons learned. And so we're going to go into, no, you don't. I got that. Let's see, any comments? All right, well, real quick while I do this, in the chat, if you're new to the chat, if you have any questions or you want to interrupt me with a question about a certain location and a certain thing I'm talking about, just go ahead and write it in all caps. Once I see it in all caps right here, I will jump in. For instance, Jerry just says, hey, all, Monday was my first successful Milky Way shoot for this year. Oh my gosh, Nightscape photo walk that Royce put on. That's awesome. I am going to have Royce Bear with me he won't be in the studio, he'll be at home, but we'll both be on here zooming, that sounds stupid. We'll both be on Zoom having a Milky Way roundtable next Tuesday. I talked about 2 weeks ago having a discussion about the drop-in Milky Way, whether you use a Milky Way that's from a different location but the same kind of spot, and then what kind of word, and trying to coin a word for that method, because there was single image, there was panorama, there was blend, where, for instance, Mary Beth Kaczynski has awesome photography where she just blends. Her tripod stays there, she captures her sky on this setting, and then she turns off the motor so it stops tracking the sky and captures her foreground. She doesn't move her tripod. That's a blend, not a composite. And so instead of giving the people who move their tripod over to another location to get a different angle on the Milky Way, is it a composite? Is it totally there's a conflict here in my mind because there's so much more connotation of negative terms with composite. Pronounce it correctly, Aaron. A composite. That is what I want to rename. So I'm bringing in Royce, Milky Way Mike. I had Eric Benedetti and Jess Santos who have to cancel. They can't make it. It's not going to fit with their schedules, and so we'll have Jess Santos and Eric on another one in the future. Eric's just busy. Eric and Bronny are just busy being parents right now. Life is busy, and they had a big project going on, and Jess Santos is traveling. So we missed out on them joining us, but I'll have Milky Way Mike and Royce Bear and a couple others that I'm considering throwing in there for the roundtable next Tuesday night. So again, next Tuesday night, September 6th, it'll be 7 p.m., just like Milky Way Wednesday. Same location right here on the YouTube channel. Then Wednesday night, I will do the promised week 6 lesson of all the different methodologies of capturing a Milky Way. I'll go into Star Tracker, dual exposure panorama, and that stuff. Okay. All right, I'm shutting up. Awesome. Look at the baby face, John Deal says. Yeah, hey, John Deal. I shaved, in fact, only a few hours ago. I figured if I'm going to have an upgrade back there, I might as well have an upgrade right here. And in about 40 pounds, it'll really feel like an upgrade. I was working out today. I walk around like this all the time now, but I still have a fat belly. So it's not really cool. I kind of look like I'm just a really fat guy with a muscly like past in the playing football. Anyway, back to the lesson. That's right, Doug. I took 4 minutes, extra 5 minutes there. All right, Dylan says, hey, it's Dylan. Hope you're well, Aaron. Long time. I know, Dylan. In fact, I saw that you saw my Instagram story, and I was stoked because it was Dylan Waldron who taught me how if you click on the little blue square in Clear Dark Sky, you actually get a map pulled up that shows the entire map of the clouds and why the color is the color, and it lets you kind of see, okay, it's clear, but how close am I to have clouds show up that hour? And you can really, really double check your weather and prediction of clouds using this one method on Clear Dark Sky. So Dylan, mwah, I love you for doing that, man. You taught me something. I had used it for a couple years, and then you said, hey, click on that square. I'm like, well, what? I can click on it? And I never even clicked on it. So Alan Houdina says, hey, I'm in Fife. Oh, Tim, I'm in Fife. Tim in Fife. Rarely I see another Washingtonian. Oh, okay. He's just talking to Tim because he's also Tim Bradley is coming from Fife. All right, awesome. Who did I miss? That's Nihar. Nihar's here. That's who I saw, and James Baker. Looks like you lost weight. Thanks, James. Thanks for saying that. You're a wonderful man. I have a little bit, but I'm also gaining muscle weight, so it's frustrating. But I still feel good. As soon as the rotundness on my waist goes away, I'll be happy. All right, I said I was shutting up. I'm shutting up now. Here we go. Yes, the IG story. So amazing. Clear Dark Sky. Okay, here we go. All right, so we look over on the iMac screen. I'm taking you through on my Google Earth. In fact, I'll do this method so we can see everyone's chat, and then make Google Earth a little smaller because we're going to go through a lot of locations here. 18 total locations. So a long time ago, 2017, myself and Brendan Porter, we were doing photog adventures together, and we worked with Raphael Pons from Photo Pills and said, let's do a workshop together. And I got a chance to do a workshop with Raphael Pons and 20 or so different people from all over the country. Maybe even some of you or any of you in that workshop. And we did it here in Utah, and we took them out to the trestle. So the very, very first location I ever took a workshop was the trestle out here in Utah. And it's only about 40 minutes from home. It's one place that I found famously on a night that my daughter was born. I left the hospital where everyone was drugged or asleep, and I went out and did Milky Way still on the night my daughter was born. I'm not a jerk, but I am divorced. It's not connected. I made that joke before. So here is the trestle. And the lesson here, the thing, I'm going to cover a couple things. There's one lesson that it's like, okay, what did I personally learn, whether it's workshop, management related, kind of a funny story related, or whatever. And then the second thing is always going to be a specific Milky Way tip here. It's something that if you were to come to this location, this is what you would use or take advantage of and to make your image stronger. Well, the train trestle. And you're going to have to forgive me because I did not have time after setting everything up behind me to actually get images of all of these locations. So sometimes I'll have an image, sometimes I won't. And in this case, I don't think I will. but I gotta find it. Oh man, I hate how bad I am at this because I really want to find it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna email myself a picture of this in the background while we talk about this. So the train trestle, it's a location where you can park up here and then walk across, and there's this fence. You can kind of see it right there. And you can't come into this area down below to capture this pylon of wood with a really neat shape where you can take a window and make the Milky Way show up. In fact, no, it's not there. I know I've had it recently. I know I've had it. Because I have a really good one where it's all on the inside. It's all featured on the inside, and I don't want to connect my iPad right now, but maybe I'm gonna have to. Just to get this to show up. So in this trestle, you've got a man-made subject that is very flat on the top, but has very dynamic wooden legs. And the situation that became awesome was that this required some lighting. And it became my lesson in light painting and then low-level lighting. And I absolutely learned that light painting is miserable. It's so much better to do a low-level lighting. And it's because I came here frequently and I found myself stuck trying to hold on this and take a picture because I'd come alone. And it's terrible to light paint alone. You have to set a timer on or a time lapse, go over there and light paint and hope it works out. But with low-level lighting, you can put your light on a tripod and then just move it until you feel like it's good. Take a picture. You know what? That's not quite right. I'm going to move over here. Okay, cool. And then do that. Let's see how that works. I got an all caps question from Andy. He says, what are your thoughts about personal safety while out in the wilderness? Oh, man. Two things in this kind of scenario is, one, you have to make sure that you know the pathway. If you can't go there in the daylight like me, and I went there in the dark, you're kind of figuring out in the dark. So have big lights. They're right behind me now. This is awesome. All right. I love this. Having all my gear out is going to make it a lot easier to find things. So I have this big light panel, right? And so, in fact, let's just celebrate that giant, awesome new look. So I have this light panel, and I would actually keep it on. This is my low-level lighting. I use this one back there. I won't grab it right now. But when I'm walking in, I use this. I don't use red headlamp, and I don't sit there and walk around with just my headlamp. I make sure I really light the place up because I'm walking over all this wood and thinking, oh man, that wood is going to, if I fall on it, I'll break a leg or at least get covered in spiders and possibly, who knows? So I was scared to fall in between the slats of this railroad ties right there. And so you got to have extra light. One thing that Royce Bear always points out is that you have your headlamp up here and you're looking like this and you're kind of angling the light down on the subject, but you can't see where the terrain goes up and down. And so if you have another light that you hold, on your waist, so like you hold it on your waist, and as you're walking, you got a different angle of light that's going to cast a shadow on any bumps. So then you'll see the bumps that you run into more often. We had someone sprain their ankle on our first workshop at this location. And so I learned, oh boy, got to be careful in these scenarios. It's great that Andy brought up that worrying about extra safeties, because I found out really quick, you know what? While this was easy for me to walk across and then go down a slippery, gravelly hill to get underneath, it's not that good for everybody. In fact, one person fell right here but didn't get hurt. Another person sprained their ankle somewhere on the railroad tie. I think they just kind of hit it awkwardly, and that was really unfortunate. And so it was something I learned right off, like I got to make sure that these workshop locations are much more guaranteed to be safe. Before I move on from this location, I'm going to talk about the silo, and the silo is also that same night. Oh, you know what? Need to make sure that my Wi-Fi is the correct one. Cool. Getting that on right now. This location, I came with Dan Lindhart and we did the trestle. And then we had some help with Rob Bryan over here at the silo with Brendan. In fact, I'll just hit the silo here. So you can see both of them. The trestle is a location I drove right past when I was out here at this Goshen area on the water. And I needed something interesting, and I kept driving all beyond because I knew that this silo was going to work. And this silo, the number one lesson I learned photographically at this silo was how I should take up the negative space below my Milky Way or next to my Milky Way core with a prominent subject. The term break the planes was birthed right here from me. Like, I'm thinking, wow, look at how it breaks the plane of that first and second line of the rule of thirds. It's really terrific how much stronger this Milky Way image looks compared to the one just down the road. And I'm almost in shape for sharing pictures. Okay, now I just hit that desktop button. It's going to come up here in a moment, but I got to get the code. And as soon as the code shows up, I'm going to share you some pictures showing the silo change. In fact, I've shown it so many times, maybe I shouldn't even show that again. Let's just show the cool trestle. Okay, I typed it in. It should be coming up momentarily. Let's see what else I've forgotten. Hey, Faster. Hello, Aaron. Here's Faster. I don't know why that got filtered out. YouTube Faster has kept that message out for review. I'm going to allow it because I don't think you swore or anything, so that looks right to me. Paolo says, amen on the pain of light painting. I saw Aaron eating a bear with his bare hands. He needs no safety. Fighting a bear or eating a bear? Yes, exactly. Paolo, you have not seen me do anything that manly. Yeah. Paolo and I's experience in southern Utah, we ended up going down to Toadstool Hoodoo, which I did not include in here. I knew I forgot a location. Sweet. I'll bring German Shepherds, Kathy says. That'll help us. Aaron, I use a spot GPS tracker to let my wife know where I am. Yes, Tim, that is brilliant, especially when you go outside a cell signal and she can't exactly follow you. Yes, you got GPS on your phone, but you don't have, hey, look at my location following me anymore. So that's really key to do. All right, let's make sure. Oh, there it is. Cool, cool, cool. The iPad is here. Oh, no, don't do that, Windows. Oh, I hate you, Windows. Stop. Man. They're trying to help me, but they don't realize that I need them to not do this. Okay, we'll go with that with the white border on the side. So when I go into, not my images, let's go into this. This might take a while. It's going to load for a second. So I'll come back to the silo picture. Let's go to location number 3. We had our 2-night workshop. A third night went to Wedge Overlook, but it did not turn out, so I'm not even going to include it in here, but it is a location for Milky Way photography. In fact, Kathy and I and Paul will be out at the Wedge Overlook here in a month. So Devil's Garden, that was the first location of Escalante. And Escalante has these awesome, awesome locations on a terrible, terrible road. And so as you're driving down, bouncing, and then trying to go as fast as you can so it stops bouncing, but then you start, I did that to Mary Beth, where we go completely sideways and then fishtail. Yeah, I did that a couple times. Actually, yes, a couple times. And it was a bad road, and I learned, okay, yep, I definitely need to drive people, but I also need to not drive so fast. As Kathy's experienced, I hit her head on the ceiling of the F-150, and Mary Beth experienced where I completely turned us around. Not a full circle, thank goodness. But this location, Devil's Garden, it is a playground. I'm not kidding. It's an absolute beautiful, beautiful location. I'm double checking. Oh, good. There I go. I've got it. Awesome. Okay, so before I get talking too much, let's go into this. This is the train trestle, the first location I ever took anybody, and now some people actually got a similar image. They were down close, and they may have done the panorama to make that train trestle curve, but if they don't make that train trestle curve, then they end up with this. And let me jump out of there so I can go to my pictures in private. Albums, Milky Way Photography. There we go. Okay, so, not that one. Let's do the other one. Photography, Top 10 2016. Okay. It doesn't include it, but it does include the silo. So I'll show the silo off again. This is the silo, and it doesn't quite show off what I was hoping to. But you can see, you can't see it there. But you can see in the train trestle without lines on it. And, man, I hate when it does that, when it has the full screen. So then I have to move this over and over again off to the left. That's really annoying. That's Apple's fault too. And that doesn't have that example there. So I have to go back into here and show you the composition one. And the composition one will give you the example of nothing versus something. So here's a trestle that's interesting but flat. And that was a problem that I learned early on in my photography in 2016, how, okay, I got a subject, I've lit it with low-level lighting, thank goodness the light is over here, but it's just missing something. This is nowhere near as strong as, say, what I had right here. This is much stronger than the trestle here. And so I learned a lot about composition and how just a little change can really make it better. All right, we are at Devil's Garden. Oh my cats. I hate this so much. Okay. Devil's Garden. This location is a playground. It is a playground that you have multiple compositions. In fact, let me just show you. We walk from here, walk around these rocks, go all the way through here, and start off back here at what Royce Bear likes to call Easter Island in Escalante. You know, this is cool, bunch of rocks. We light up from down this ravine, this wash, and then light from up here. I usually stand up here and yell out at the group standing right there going, "Hey, is it good?" Silence. "Hey, does it look good?" More silence. I'm like, how are they not hearing me? Hey, everybody, can you hear me? Yeah, we can hear you. Okay, just tell me, have you taken a picture? Does it look good? And this is usually where the workshop starts to fight, and I start getting frustrated, they get frustrated, and we all stop talking to each other. Well, it never gets that bad, but man, I feel it, and sometimes they feel it. I'm like, just answer me. Just answer the dang question. And low-level lighting, while it's terrific, if you don't have someone on the other end taking a picture with a camera while you're moving something 50 to 100 yards away, it can be really annoying. But thankfully, everyone has survived that momentary obnoxious frustration. But this is where we start. We go over here and get Bagel Hole, this little hole in this rock called Bagel Rock. Then you can come back this way and get this kind of choo-choo train look as these rocks all come out to you. And then we come in when it's just right to hit Metate Arch right there. And when we wait from this point to be good, sometimes we'll come over here and capture these pillars side by side looking directly south, or come on this side and look this way, or we can capture this one by itself, and then we come back to Metate Arch, get that perfect where the saddle of the shape brings the Milky Way right there next to Metate Arch, and then we share spots, capture, and now it's almost 4 a.m. in the morning, and we come over here to Adventure Pinnacles. That's what we call it. And these two pinnacles, you can see the shadows, they are awesome. Just love those pictures. I've got to show off Brendan's picture of this because it's just so good, and I think I can get to it. I don't know why I'm thinking I can, but I'm gonna try. Marketing photos, come on, baby. No. Yeah, that's a version of it. This is mine. This isn't Brendan's, but it's mine, and it works. I liked his 50mm f1. It's like this crazy one aperture, like a 0.9 something aperture, that he got a pano of it that makes this look even better. And so let's see if I can find that. Sorry, let me know, everybody, if my moving this mic up and down is causing a sound. I think last week everyone said that it was, so let me know. Hey, Dat's here. Datleen, awesome. What's up, AK? Hey, what's up, Dat? I'm stoked you're here. Had a great shot at Wilson Arch, Jeff says. Ooh, did someone just crash into my car? That didn't sound good. I hope they just hit a bump. I guess it would have been louder. Ooh, is that it? No, that's still mine. Come on. Ooh, there it is. Here's the comparison, so you can really see it. This is his on the left and mine on the right, the one that I was just showing you. And if I go into the zoomed in version of it, you can really see the difference. So when I was at Escalante, the lesson I learned is that aperture makes a huge difference. And what it makes a difference in is something that I didn't expect, because there was a nice enough quality to the exposure here. Wow, Dad, you're amazing. Thank you so much. #1 fan. That was really kind of you, Dad, to give me a super chat. That makes my night, man. Thank you so much. Awesome. I can go get dinner. This detail that I captured is well exposed. We got low level light on the rocks, and it's there. There's nothing really wrong with it. In fact, many of your images probably look just like this. But when you have a panorama that has a little bit more detail, you can really see the difference inside the brighter, highest contrast areas. Look at mine. That looks great. And then you look over here, and it takes what mine is just like a sand. It's like mine's like this white blob of light, and his is a sandy textured detail. And I absolutely love it. Dad's like, we need to get out an Aurora workshop. Another Aurora workshop. Yes, we do. Mary Beth and I, we're going to someday do a Lofoten workshop. Right, Mary Beth? Let's do it. So this detail was because of a better aperture. The exposure settings were all set for brilliant histograms. Everything was pretty much the same. I want to just move the image. There we go. It was pretty much the same. Focus on this could have even been a little tighter, I can tell, unless it's just my resolution. But the detail in a better aperture is so gorgeous. And so aperture makes a difference. And I learned that in comparing both Brendan's 50mm f1 with my Rokinon 50mm f1.4 that I switched down to f2. I stopped it down to f2 in order to get the shot. So I learned that aperture is important. And in this location, we spend from 12 o'clock at night until 4:30 in the morning enjoying all of this park. It is just gorgeous. Absolutely love it. Okay, how have I done so far? I have 3 minutes to go through 18 locations. Terrific. Aaron, you're an idiot. So here we go. This is Sunset Arch. This was night 4, or the 4th location I've taken people out. The first group ever at Sunset Arch with me and Brendan was Kathy, Venkata, and Nicole, and we all went out to this location in Sunset Arch. Yes, I remembered that workshop. There's many workshops that I won't be able to string off everyone's name. Like Dat was in our group with John and Cheryl, and oh no, here we go. Starting to get fuzzy on the rest of the group. I'm sorry, rest of the group. I love you all the same, but who else was there? I can't remember the guy's name who had his girlfriend there. I can't remember. So I can't remember everyone, but this was our first workshop after the workshop with Raphael Pons, and so it was kind of the first Photog Adventures isolated exclusive workshop. So I remember that group. They were awesome. And Sunset Arch, we had to hike down into it. So when we hike from this location and go straight down into Sunset Arch, we had to wait and wait and wait. We captured a fun little sunset, but then we waited for the sky. And the sky was great, actually. We didn't have a problem this night. I don't remember having a problem this night. Maybe Kathy can remind me. But we got the pictures of the Sunset Arch. Maybe this was the one night that didn't work out. I kind of recall that might have been the case. But when you're waiting forever and you have a long time, my one story on the side is that I need my iPad with me. I bring this iPad and I have movies on it. If I don't frustrate people around me, I watch a movie while I'm waiting 3.5 hours for the Milky Way to show up. There's not much to do, so I have something to do, and I love it. LMAO, you must have seen my post. He's talking to Dat, Bob, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I didn't miss anything. Sweet. All right, so then this situation is a shot where a panorama pulls you away from the interest of the subject, but it's cool to get a full arching panorama over it. So for instance, let me get another window up on this so that I can show you. I have it on my promo pic, don't I? No, I don't. Not on this one, that's right. And I have marketing images, Aaron King. Yeah. Oh no. Aaron King Photog site. No, don't have it. Oh wait, yes I do. Haha, yes. All right. Here's the example. So you can see how if I minimize this to show it to you better on this side of the screen, you can see how while there's stuff going on the far right and left thanks to Brendan being here, and thanks to my low-level lighting light being here. In fact, Jeff Peterson set that one up that night. This is not during a workshop. And then here's Sunset Arch. But even though a subject is big, you might have a panorama that just is off. Like we wait longer for this Milky Way core to be off to the right, then it goes up so high it's not as strong as this lower one. But then you get this shape, the way that it's facing. In order for it to be this facade at that angle, you have to pull it in and snug tight with the core on this kind of imbalanced middle part. So a stronger image here is this single frame image right there. And this one's also Brendan's. This is a shot that we did on a YouTube video night where I spent more time getting the YouTube video and that panorama I just showed you, and Brendan captured this where it featured not a pano, just the Milky Way core, a little bit going off to the left, and featuring this rock nice and big. This is not the place that I typically learned this, but I want to mention it right now that, oh, you have not yet made it to Sunset Arch, Mary Beth? Okay, we're doing that when you come back to Utah next year. So this right here is an example of how your subject is this rock plus a Milky Way core, right? And it'd be easy to be back further from the rock and capture a little bit more sky, but when you do that, you minimize your subject in the frame. And you don't want to minimize your subject. If your subject's important, then you need to do this to keep it important. Where's my core? I mean my iPad. So for instance, here's my subject, a really, really cool arch called Owachomo and the Milky Way. What more could I want? Well, if I do a little bit more effort and I feature it up in a different way, I can make something way stronger, like this. Now, the subject's obviously this bridge, where before it was just, come on, slide over, this elongated bridge with all this extra space, not very interesting. And then boom, you get up close and you got your subject featured, and it's much stronger. For instance, this water that's just okay, Milky Way off at this angle, you know, it does exactly what we're doing in this next image, but it's so much stronger having the silo in that frame and then featuring it in the negative space around the Milky Way core. So when Brendan takes this image compared to my pano, you can get something that takes the subject and makes it much more important and also feature the Milky Way core in a great way. And this is a fantastic image from Brendan. All right, cool. All right, let's move on because I'm literally only on 4. Fantastic. So Dance Hall Rock. I won't spend too much time here. I do have a picture of this much faster than the other ones, or at least accessible to me. Oh, I should do this. This is, oh, how did that end up over there? That's interesting. It's going up on my browser window for some reason, but this is the group. This is Kathy, Venkata, and Nicole, all in that workshop capturing adventure pinnacles. So there's some memory for you, Kathy. All right, getting back out. And the shot I'm looking for is promo pics. Oh, wow, it's already changed. I hate how it constantly changes on me. I have these save folders over here that are updating dynamically based on how often I look at them, and this pano from Dance Hall Rock will let you see what I'm talking about this location. This location is a great Escalante workshop. In fact, I have another Escalante workshop that I've added for June, and I'm normally there in May. So you want to come out with me in June and do Escalante and do Panorama Milky Way still, as well as capturing all that I told you about in Devil's Garden? I have 2 spots open for it. Paul says, is there a reason you might favor low lighting a subject like an arch versus doing a long exposure foreground with no artificial light? At the time, I favored it for this one reason, is that it really pops out. For instance, oh, wow, why is this completely changing priority on screens? Okay, so this right here is an example of bristlecone pine, but I don't want to do that. Let's go over here. This is lit, low-level lit, and you can see the light coming across here, and you got that. I did a time lapse, so I wanted the light to be consistent throughout. I didn't want to have to blend the foreground. But when I go into my image here, Secret Spire, you get a chance to see right here, side by side, a subject that is foreground lit and one that is not. This is just a long exposure. In fact, this spire is where Paul and I and Kathy will be next month. Oh, I can't. They're all sharing the space. Okay, fine. I can't get away from the text. I'll just do the IMAX screen. So you can see how the rock in this frame, single image, I don't have to do any post-processing to bring the sky in with the foreground. It's what it is. Low-level lighting allows me to bring out this rock and make it visible with all in a single image. Over here, in order for me to see this rock plus this Milky Way, there are two images, and I had to blend. And I had to work on all the edges to make this look natural and not look weird. And it's hard sometimes, where in rocks it's easy, in trees it can be difficult. And so with this hurricane light pollution right here, that helped kind of blend the background a little bit. Over here, without that little atmospheric, it kind of seems like it's missing something. But that is all 100% true to the atmospheric of that night. There is nothing else missing here. It's just this shot is strong, and I got the rock visible, but it took a different process in order for me to get it. The methodology I was talking about 2 weeks ago. There is a single image Milky Way and then a blend Milky Way. I didn't move my tripod at all. I just turned off. I changed my settings from this 8 seconds for the sky to a minute or so for my rock. And so I guess I would say the benefit is keeping it all in a single image, and the benefit is that you get the opportunity to see a rock that maybe you wouldn't. For instance, there are locations where if you do a longer exposure, they don't look very good and they can't blend as strong as you would like them to. For instance, here, nope, not that way. Pull out of here, go over to this one, and you can see long exposure of Crater Lake ends up looking kind of funky. This looks neat, but blending it was tough. And if I do a blue hour, it didn't look great, but it had more detail. And so you run into situations where some locations you can make it look brilliant, like with this shot. I can get the foreground to show up at a minute exposure and it still looked very natural. And then sometimes you do a minute-long exposure and it looks like this, and it's just too, it's not solid, maybe a little bit dirty ground. There's just something to be said for the condition of this location where it's all rock at the top, really good looking, really reflective, and all of that stood out in a very nice way, and it wasn't just a drab, dirty hill or field that I was hanging out at. So a long exposure versus light painting can bring out things you don't want. Light painting, you get to focus on a certain subject and make it light up, make it look good, and nothing else, like my Goblin Valley shot right here from 2016. This is like my 4th Milky Way image ever, and I was so stoked how this turned out. Loved it. Let's go into the next location. All right, Fairyland Point. This is a workshop location that's the 4th night of the Escalante workshop, and it's like a nice change of pace from everything else. We go out here and we get a chance to go to Low Sea Canyon and enjoy some really neat sights, not in Bryce Canyon, outside Bryce Canyon, but then we get to see these really cool Bryce Canyon-like features just on the north end of Bryce Canyon. As you can see, it's all down here, but this is outside of the park, and it's fantastic because you walk from the car real quick, go around this rim, and there's lots of space to line up. We put a low-level light here and a low-level light here, which is the lesson of this location. The lesson of this location is a chance to play with multiple low-level lights to fill an area and see the challenge of making that work. How you can like it and maybe not love it. It can be great, and it could also feel, I don't know, a little weak, and you wish it was better. It's like, oh man, I want some more light, but that's too much on those hoodoos, and so if I get it too much bright here, it doesn't quite look solid, and so we compromise on what works best. And in this case, you have a section of the foreground and you focus on the sky, and you just turn yourself up on a vertical and capture this spot. Or you can do what John Deal and I did and have a time lapse of this location on a landscape orientation and watch that Milky Way get into position on this sloping hill up here. This is a shot that Brendan captured, and you can see the challenge of blending two different exposures where, look at these trees. It looks like Brendan either made some painting adjustments down here and didn't paint all those trees on the horizon, that's why they're standing out differently, or he has a different exposure between them and that's looking like it's a little bit unnatural. But my guess is that it looks that way because they are more in shadow and these were taking in different light. I am not certain why it has that kind of fringing on the edge there, but you can see how the shot is fun, way different than the other stuff at Devil's Garden and Dance Hall Rock. Okay, Goblin Valley. I already showed you a picture of it just now. In fact, while that's loading up, I'll pull it back up. Goblin Valley is another playground, but it's an overwhelming playground. That's the lesson of Goblin Valley, is that when you go into Goblin Valley, everything looks cool. You're like, oh, that. Oh, let's take a picture of that. Oh, that looks cool. Oh, let's take a picture of that one. And it's really hard to pick the strongest, the best, the ones that you really, really, really want more than the other ones that are looking okay. Let's see if I can find Brendan and I's old picture where we have two different versions of Goblin Valley in here, where he captured a spot that was behind me here, and it's still strong, but just a little bit of extra work on the lighting here, which was not low-level lighting, it was individual, and I think I've tried low-level lighting here, and it does not work as well. So let's just add a bonus lesson to that real quick. Just let me emphasize it. If you try to low-level light this, like you can see in my YouTube video when I went out with Brendan and Phil, we were out there on a Milky Way chase, and it's night 10, I think? Yeah, night 10 in Goblin Valley. And we're low-level lighting this location. Let's go towards that spot. And you can see in this picture, come back. So I think I show, oh wait, I'm gonna make that smaller. Okay, there you can see how, oh, of course it's gonna do an ad real quick. Give Aaron some cents, a few pennies. Awesome. Okay, so here's this. I'm going to make this like that. It kind of works. Let me go ahead and turn me smaller. So you can see the different low-level lighting that Brendan and I had to do, or light painting that we had to do to make that work. But then we came back and did low-level lighting with these on long poles, and we kept extending them as far as we could because Phil brought really long poles to low-level light this the exact same way, and it was heavily challenging because the more you light from that edge, the more you cast the shadow down in between here. So what I ended up doing was just going for the full panorama. It's this same spot. This is the same location as this, as you can kind of see the difference, or the same, but you can see how where we lit here and here, I can only light that. We couldn't light this section. We got the back side of this lit, and this is in shadow on both of them, but it was just so much stronger when over here this was completely lit, but this shadow was cast on this section right there. So a low-level light in the back and a low-level light right here was just not enough to make it work, where this worked so well because Brendan stood right there and low-level and just light painted this section of rock. And so it looks stronger with light painting. So this is one of the few locations where I would light paint if I don't like the low-level lighting, or you have to pick a different set of rocks. I think that's enough on Goblin Valley. Beautiful location. This track right here was recorded while Kathy and I were out. And now Goosenecks State Park. Just a quick story on this one. I learned never to camp there with a workshop, because that night you camp there will be the one night you've been there out of 7 that it ended up being terrible, windy, and miserable to do. But we are right here on the edge, and it's quite fantastic because you get on the edge and then you're looking out over this whole gooseneck area. In fact, here's a picture that I got in 2016, my third, maybe second Milky Way picture total. All right, there we go. That's the goosenecks, and you have to capture this as a blend. Sky was taken at 1 or so in the morning, and then the foreground was captured the next day at around 11 a.m. There was a message left for me from someone asking, okay, what time did you have to capture it? And I need to respond to it. But if you happen to be here for Milky Way Wednesday, the answer is it took me to 11 a.m. in the morning. In fact, I think I mentioned it in the video, but he mentioned he saw that video and didn't notice. Ron says, are there a lot of other people at these spots? If yes, do they get upset with the lights? So here's the situation. It depends on the spot. Delicate Arch, yes, they get upset. Goblin Valley, no, because they're lighting their pathways and doing things. And if you're just lighting your little spot on a low-level light, it doesn't get in the way of their shot unless the spread out that it casts a little bit can overlap their composition. And so you have to be careful of that. And if someone else is out there, approach them and say, hey, I'm over here using some lights, doing Milky Way photography. Are you here for Milky Way photography? Yes, you are. Okay, well, let me help you out. And let's go ahead and get the light in a way that you enjoy as well and go from there. Like Paul was asking about doing, come on, just go there. Doing low-level lighting versus no lighting at all. If you have someone there who's going to be bugged, then definitely that's the time that you want to do. Let me minimize all of these windows. What is that? This is my iPad. Oh, okay, move that over. I'm just trying to get the chat to have a nice clean silhouette. Okay, so then you go, okay, I'll just do a long exposure and capture so I don't bug them. And I've done that before where I know other people are around and you just go for that. Paul had another question or point. No, that's the same one that I answered. Awesome. Okay, cool. And Casey, the light source is also softer as opposed to low level, which is a much harder light source relative to the subject. Exactly. Casey is right. When you have a low level light, in fact, look at this image. You can see how we got some lights reaching all the way down there, but then these rocks that are closest are crazy hot. And that is the drawback with low level lighting where you're lighting a large expanse, is that your closest rock to the low level light is going to be bright. And that is something that I've had challenges in workshops where people say, hey, there's a really hot rock over there. I'm like, yeah, unfortunately, but how's the rest look? Unfortunately, I can't avoid letting any of those exist because it's just going to be in the nature of doing this kind of photography with low level lighting, and there's going to be a hot rock or 5 or 10, and so we just got to deal with that. Is it April 13th? It is. Okay. So over here in Bistai, there's this time lapse, and you can see how I'm moving around in the beginning of the time lapse. Let me go ahead and show it to you in short. So this rock in the middle, crazy bright. And we decided that there were some areas over here that we wanted to include, so let me move the light from that position to the far back. And then I went far back and all of it got a more even light, but we also cast a lot of shadows. So then I moved the light forward to this rock, set it up against the rock, and settled on that spot right there. So then, pause right here. This had our main focus. We wanted to make sure that Alien Throne, looking all the way down here, was solid and had a good lighting all the way down below because we really liked the texture of the rocks down below. And so the low level lighting to be close enough to not cast a shadow with this mound of rock, but then also not so far that other rocks were casting shadows. And so it was a challenge to get it right there, paint it, pull and push it against that rock. If they ever included, because the Milky Way you'll see eventually starts going over these two rocks, and you're going to have to deal with the fact that the Milky Way is above a rock that's overly lit, and you're just going to have to bring them back in post by burning it back in post. And so if you have any rocks that end up being hot with a low level light, the closest rock to it will always be more lit. You just have to burn it back. How am I doing on time? Terrible. Okay, cool. You know what? This is kind of a fun subject because it gives me a chance to share a lot of pictures and to share a lot of locations. And right now, we are only on number 8, Goosenecks. And I've already showed Owachomo Bridge, but I'm going to stop right there before we go any further because I want to come back into these and give them all full attention. So we're going to go ahead and call it at this point, and I will be back on the 31st teaching the last few methodologies, and on September 7th doing that, and then the following Wednesday is Calendar, please. That's the 14th. Oh, I should have done the math, of course. 14th. The 14th, I will be doing it then. And so we'll have it set up that way for the 14th. I'll finish off this list. Paul says, in your gooseneck shot, could you have done a long exposure foreground at night rather than waiting till 11 a.m.? Yes. And I had an example of it, but I don't believe I'm going to find it. So let me just pull up my old Goosenecks one and show you why it didn't work for this purpose. So here's my gooseneck shot, and I'm going to stretch it over. Okay. All right. And close that window out. So why did you change to this image? There we go. Okay. So in this shot, you can see all of this terrain in a long exposure there. You absolutely can. Depending on if there's a moon, you won't see as much of this river. Now, knowing that there was some starlight, some ambient lighting, this river gets a different shadow cast from these cliff edges. And I wish I could pull up that information fast enough. Was it in my almanac? I think it was. Okay, off the screen, I'm going to do this while I answer this question. So I'm going to go into my Dropbox over on my own account. And I'm going to pull up an image that I used in the almanac. And my 2021 almanac, it had a picture where I captured an image from Goosenecks that was vertical, that was entirely long exposure, didn't wait until the following morning to get it. So let's see if I find it. Dead Horse Point, not Goosenecks. Is there by name? G? Will I have it saved smartly, or is it going to be something else? Of course. Overlook Pano, maybe. Oh, what? Oh, I know what that is. So the answer is yes, you can see it, but you may appreciate having. Let me get this back up. You may appreciate having that river being visible by waiting until that next morning and getting that light just right. And not yet. I haven't found it yet. Almost got it. Come on. I know you're in here. I used it for one of my months. It was a different month in the pano or in the almanac. As I showed different examples of it, maybe if I just look at the PDF of the almanac, I can find it easier. Final PDFs. Let's do the... Is that really the low res one? Let's see. What is this one going to show me? So I'm going to see if I can get all of it. Let's dismiss that and go to, let's see. Yeah, much later. So I'm going to kind of keep clicking in the background of this, so please ignore that. Let me see some of the comments that have come out here in the cam with chat, so you guys can also enjoy the new background. Oh man, you know what? I forgot to get myself makeuped up a little bit, so I'm a little bit reflective. Man, I forgot that process. I was too busy getting images. I'm sure none of you are grossed out by it, but whenever I see it and I see myself glisten, I'm like, I didn't have to glisten. I didn't have to glisten. No. Absolutely love the gooseneck spot for ease. It's so easy for us to capture. The situation there, there it is. There it is. Cool. So this is in my almanac if you have a PDF of it. Oh, come on, please. Just let me zoom in. Go full screen. All right. Looks like I'm not going to be able to zoom in any further than that. Ooh, and starting to get a little bit more. All right, I'll share it. This is it. And you can see where you can... Oh, okay, come on. Can I get you to, like... move it all? No, it won't come on the screen. But you can see next to this. Oh, no, you can't because of this screen that I've chosen. You can see underneath my picture where you can get some of that river popping out. This is a low res version from a PDF. zoomed in and it looks terrible right now, but this is Goosenecks entirely from a long exposure shot, so you can see how much is still visible up here. In fact, I think this is a blend from after sunset, because there's a little bit more highlight right here, and down here there's shadow, so it can obviously a source of light, either a moon or the sun twilight period. It must be the moon was setting, and I captured this right there. But you can't see much. You can make out a little bit of the river, but not as much as you do in this image. Now, this backside, the positioning, where the Milky Way is completely different, and so you've got to, if I go off of that, the triangle goes away? No, I'll just do that. So this shape right here, you can see it differently, because you can see I went vertical and featured all the way back into this where I cut it off right there. So anyway, that's the gooseneck solve. Now, Paul's asking that because he and I are going to be out at the gooseneck doing a long exposure shot, and we are also going to benefit from the moon, if I'm remembering correctly, Paul. So we'll have that. All right, I'm going to go back to main ticker because I got to stop showing that stuff. Let's get this out of my way. So thank you guys for joining me tonight. If you're here just for the lesson, I am just going to talk about the update back here on the studio. But I want to point out that if you are on my email list, and if you're not on it already, I better do this, because you're going to have to go to this site. So say you go to workshops.photogadventures.com. And you go and you see this page. In fact, let's make this a little bit easier to follow. All right, right here. You go on this page. You click on any of the ones that are open. In fact, I think this one will let you go. So click on the Southern Utah Milky Way one. This is the easiest way to get you on the list because I have to update this. It's foolish that this is the easiest way. But now that I'm here, I move my cursor to the top. This pops up. Oh, you're not interested in this workshop. Would you like to know more about our other workshops once they're available? Enter your name and put in your email address. So this is how you join my list. And you'll need to get on this list. Oh, thanks, Dat. I'm loving it too. This is my first hour since I finished it, and I'm stoked to see how it looks behind me. It's very exciting to see the change. When you go on this and add on the list, I'm going to be sending out a deal where you can get a commitment to the workshop for only $500. It's going to be a 2023 workshop, whether it's the 7-day one, the ones in the other months like the Escalante one that's happening in June. Any of those workshops on that list you can choose to go into, but I'm going to let you do a deposit that's not $950 and only $500. So I'm going to do a quick sell, and it's basically the same price overall for the workshop. It doesn't drop the cost of the workshop, but if you're an alumni workshop attendee with me and you've come before, or you have one coming up this year, you can go ahead and pay that $500 to get called in and seal the slot. Like, there's 2 slots left for Escalante. Oh, I want that. Okay, use this. Pay only $500 tonight to get it, and then you can get in and seal your spot, and then take all the way until next June to pay off the rest. And so it gives you more time to pay for it, and you don't have to have as much up front in order to lock in your spot. So I'm going to do that deal right now. And I'm also going to give a lesson through my Facebook live stream that I'm going to bring in a bunch of people on, that I'm going to offer a good deal that's going to include a workshop plus a bunch of courses, and it's going to have probably going to save like $600 or $800. And so if you're interested in that, come and keep an eye out on my Facebook page. If you haven't come to Photog Adventures on Facebook, so facebook.com/Aaron King's Photog Adventures, and you can go right here and see the notification and information right there on Facebook. Okay, cool. So jump in my email list so you can get that tonight. I'll be sending it out here later tonight, and you can fill it out tomorrow if you're not needing time. Oh, I just wanted to show something because we were just talking about it. OBS assets, promo pics. Let's go. Oh, we want to keep that screen up. That's right. Not promo pic stuff. Okay, cool. Oh, that's right. I don't have it on there. Let me do it from here, but I don't want to show it off just yet. So let's see. Here's the studio. Here's the studio right here. I'm going to show you the before. It's really cool to see how the before was and how much better it got. I'm so stoked about this. All right. Okay. Here's the before. And here's the after. So after right now and before. So Milky Way Wednesday, I just froze frame here that had Aaron King written in the bottom corner. And yeah, that's not exactly a fantastic face, but I got everything else there that I wanted. And with this, it's gone completely from white background to a few assets that kind of look like this to it's such a big change. I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. I got the light, I think, in a way that I enjoy. I think everything is turning out to give me a little bit of shadow over here. So I'm stoked about the update to the studio. Let's see, any comments that I missed out? Earl Todd. Hey, Aaron, long time since I've been able to join in. Yeah, Earl, I haven't heard from you in a while. Mary Beth and I were just talking about our Aurora workshops with Dat. He came to the first one in November of last year, and Earl was with us. Was it only last year? No, it was 2 years ago. End of 2020, right? And then Earl was in one with us this year with Molly in, was it March? It was March, yeah. I like it too. Sweet. Thanks, Mary Beth. Imagine teaching from here, Mary Beth. We'll put you in. I've got access, over here is my telescope. So that's my 6-inch Nexstar SE. Beth Pettit actually mentioned that all I need now is a moon lamp, and that actually is a moon lamp that Derek made me. And it's not visible as a moon, and I can't pick it up and show it to you, but the light is just still at the lowest setting. It just gets blown out as a red orb. But I got my Red Cat telescope. This camera right here, that's the bag, and this is the camera. That's my first ever Nikon Coolpix 8700. It's my first digital camera ever purchased back in 2003. Here's my Canon 6D tripods. This is an awesome picture that was captured by Sean Maloney. And then my first camera bag right there, my second camera bag, and now my third, thanks to the awesome generosity of, oh no, I'm so sorry, man. Terry. I'm like, the name didn't come immediately, and I was really feeling bad. But then I got quick access over here. So now when I say, hey, the Carson LumiLoupe, I can grab it. Or I can be like, oh, you know what? The move, shoot, move is like this. I'm going to have a much easier time playing around with things. And this, I want to talk about these for the sake of it right now. See how thick these are? These are actually Photog Adventures magnets for the logo. I'm going to start giving these away for free. And so I'm going to start doing some little fun events to just sign up, click here, get some points, and then I'll send people who get to a certain point range of this. And so you get yourself a magnet for your fridge or wherever that says Photog Adventures. Awesome. Okay, so I'm stoked about the new digs. Thanks, Rhonda. She says it looks great. Let's see any comments that I might have missed. I like the blue hour foreground plan. Yeah, the blue hour foreground can work really well, but you just have to have the right subject, and you have to either paint blue into your sky or paint some more dark into your foreground. Depends on how your horizon looks and how well it's going to turn out. Okay, I got to get on the road. I love all of you for hanging out with me tonight. Milky Way Wednesday returns for the next 3 weeks consistently. I'll be back next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Mountain Time. And if you didn't hear it from the beginning, next Tuesday we'll have a Milky Way Roundtable. So a Tuesday at 7 p.m. we'll be out here. Royce Bear, Milky Way Mike, myself, and 2 others. Jess Santos and Eric Benedetti couldn't make it. But we're going to talk about the drop-in Milky Way, the adapted Milky Way, the move your camera but still use that Milky Way. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to coin the term, and we're going to discuss the pros and cons of it, and just have a fun discussion. So let's see, who have I forgotten? Any other large caps? Amalki Dave says thanks, Aaron, you bet. Faster says see ya. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight, and thanks everybody for supporting Dat. I really appreciate the super chat, man. Appreciate you buying me dinner tonight. I appreciate that. That's awesome. And so if you had any questions that I missed, just let me know next week. I'll be back, or you can always go here and email me at milkywaywednesday@gmail.com. I'm going to tackle the rest of these locations on September 14th, but I'm also going to do one of the Milky Way Wednesdays that come from John, right? I think it's John. I just saw John Carter's message, and so I'm getting mixed up. I'm sorry if I'm saying the name wrong, but I have his images, and we're going to play around with them and fix some things and see if it's possible to fix some moire issues that were happening in this panel. So do some of those Milky Way Wednesday questions for Milky Way Wednesday. All right, cool. It's so funny to see this and see how it's changed. Oh, man, that looks boring now, and I thought it looked fine. and I am loving this. So thanks, everybody. I'm Aaron King with Photog Adventures. Get out there and have an adventure. The Milky Way is still great. The moon is a waxing crescent. It's only in your way at the beginning hours of the night. Do some Milky Way photography still, because it's only the end of August, and soon it's going to be shorter and shorter window of time where that Milky Way core is above the horizon for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere. So take advantage of it. Take advantage of it and get out there. Thanks all. Have a good one. Talk to you next Wednesday. Actually, see you Tuesday. See you Tuesday at 7 p.m.